now I'm leaving the Arch Rock Campground. What I'm going to do is just kind of go up over that little pass. It'll take me to Lattle Rock Campground. That's the quickest way to get through this area and continue on the path I want to take. I think I took the wrong gully. Kind of led me to this area where I really can't climb down here. I can't climb down the other way. I think I'm gonna have to turn around and find another way. It's just not gonna happen. I'm really glad to be out of the campsite I stayed at last night. And it kind of reminds me of why I don't like staying in those drive-in campgrounds. Somebody playing some really loud music for several hours into the night, and a screaming, whining toddler. Kid was screaming for a solid half hour this morning. Parents didn't seem to be too bothered by it. And the smell of the toilet. It's like the only thing you could smell in the campground is the porta potty. Small little pour off here. These are always fun little obstacles to work your way around. All right. And these here are the Muddy Mountains. What I'm going to do is basically walk all the way around this mountain range here and come around the other side of it and go back up it. Have a roundabout way to get where I want to go, but I am trying to piece together the most scenic, most adventurous route I can, and sometimes that isn't the most direct line. So I was following the wash that pretty much was taking me in the direction I wanted to go, but I had to leave that wash, and now I'm just kind of going up and over a series of washes, and now I'm basically just kind of plotting my own course across the desert here. And there's just something so satisfying about just kind of setting out into this kind of landscape without any trail. And this is pretty interesting. It looks kind of like petrified wood. Maybe a little bit less petrified than some of the other stuff I found in the past. And this looks like a good break spot to me. A little bit of shade. Give you a nice seat here. View this really cool little canyon. And this is a pretty cool area. There's a little arch here. There's actually a ton of little arches around. If you look over here, there's another one up there, one right there. That one's a really thin one. Very interesting looking. And finally, I've walked myself out of the Valley of Fire State Park. Now I'm just in the Lake Mead National Recreation Area, and you know, dispersed camping is allowed wherever you want, and kind of nice to not have to, you know, really worry about that aspect of the hike now. And then off in the distance there, you can see a couple of palm trees. That marks Blue Point Spring, so that's what I'm heading for. It's going to be the first natural water source along this whole trail. And everything's been sparkling in the sun in this area here. This whole entire hillside here is just covered with these crystals. I want to say they're gypsum. Just look at them everywhere. I mean, this whole hillside here. Rocks have always been interesting to me, rocks and minerals. And anytime you see something, you know, little out of the ordinary on the ground, catches your eye, I think that's you know, worth stopping and checking out, and just something interesting to see along the way. You know, spend so much time looking at the ground, you might as well pay attention. And that's the sound of flowing water. This is Blue Point Spring. This is pretty much the source of it, and then the palm trees are a little further down that way, but this whole run here is just like a flowing creek. And while my water filters, I'm gonna give myself a bath. I had a nice little break here at the spring, filled up with 4 liters, washed up myself, washed my socks, and now it's time to head down the road here. You see a car driving by. That's North Shore Road. That's Lake Mead. That's our first view of Lake Mead right there. And it was a bit of a necessity to kind of come all the way around the mountain range here to this particular spring, because it's pretty much the only one around. It's like the only water source. So what other options do you have? You know, the route's pretty much defined by where the water sources are plotted out, and then you need to make your route and connect it in between available water. I love these kind of palms. It's like woolly mammoth palms, all big and burly. Yeah, and this is Roger Spring, and it has brain-eating amoebas. That's why I filled up at Blue Point Spring. And now I'm entering this canyon. It's a pretty steep, narrow canyon. It's gonna get dark pretty quick. It's 5:30, so I got about a half hour. At this point, I'm really just looking for a place to lay my head down for the evening. Oh, this is a rugged canyon. It's gonna be a lot of work tomorrow. I guess the other canyon is the way to go. I'm gonna just take this campsite right below this little pour off here. So I'll just climb my way back down there, and there's a nice gravelly spot. So this bag was completely full of food when I started. It's the end of day 3, and you can see how much food is left in here. This was supposed to be 4 days worth of food. And if I had my normal appetite, this one bag would be 4 days of food for sure. And I do this to myself every time. I just bring way too much food on the first section. I should know myself better. I just don't eat as much in the beginning. So it's dinner time, and I don't really want any of this food. None of it tastes good right now.
But next week it'll be fine. Next week I'll be chowing down on this stuff. Hey!
So I'm kind of like backed into this canyon here. They definitely sound close. Some pretty active coyotes.